Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other, and today's episode is Death Note Part 1, Episode 26, Renewal. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of what happens within this episode. So basically, this episode is going to be shorter than the others, because this episode was pretty much the first half was a summary of what happened up to Elle's death. And then the second half of the episode was basically Light is nominated to be the next Elle to continue the investigation as Kira's still out there, but they can't be in the task force headquarters anymore because that's a building that Ellen Watari purchased or built. And so they ultimately decide that Light, because he's taken over the role of Ellen Watari, will now have a one-bedroom apartment rented for him by his dad, because that wouldn't look odd given that he is now a college student, and that will become the new task force headquarters, and Misa will move in with him there. Then he basically renews his efforts as Kira, killing a multitude of criminals. And then our very last scene and it's also mentioned that he does enter the National Police Force. And then the very last scene is an old man receiving a text that Elle is dead and telling a pair of orphans that. So that was all that happened. And now it's time to rank this episode. And as always, we'll be ranking on our two ranking lists, the mostly objective, followed by the personal. So mostly objective rank values, highlighted those I felt applied. So we of course have our single arc supporting character developments. And this is worth 1. And basically anyone who was associated with Kira or Elle that isn't a member of the core task force is killed by Light. So this is Wedi, Iber, the Yotsuba group. And that's 1 point. Then we have our multi-arc main character development, which of course is Light becoming the second Elle and Watari. He decides to play both roles. And as a result of that, he also gets a new apartment, which Misa is also going to be living in, which will be the new headquarters, and joins the police force. That's worth 4 points. Then we have a -1 because this was a setup / recap episode. It basically, the first half was a recap episode, and the second half was a setup episode for part 2. So because this was really a transitional episode, it ultimately ended up with a score of 4. But this is the last episode of part 1, which means our part 1 ranking is complete. And on our mostly objective ranking, it is as follows. In first, we have Rebirth, second, Confrontation, third, Doubt, fourth, Wager, fifth is Decision, sixth, Execution, seventh, Ally, eighth, Revival, ninth, Encounter, 10th was Confessions, 11th, Tactics, 12th, Friends, 13th, Silence, 14th, Pursuit, 15th, Glare, 16th, Frenzy. Then in 17th, Unraveling, 18th, Love, 19th, Makeshift, 20th is Dealings, 21st, Assault, 22nd, Renewal is this episode, then 23rd, Matsuda, 24th, Performance, 25th, Guidance, and 26th was Overcast. And now we come to my personal ranking. So basically it's a recap of everything that we already know. And I imagine, like, if it was airing on cable and it was your first watch through, by the time we got here, 26 episodes in, you probably would want the reminder of everything that had happened. Though at the same time, none of that really matters because Elle's now dead and we're moving on to a completely different side of the story. So Also, like, do I need to be reminded when it's all in the past and not really going to be significantly impacting the future going forward? Also, it's kind of boring to rewatch things, and they didn't even include the best moments, at least in my opinion. They kind of just gave like a very broad overview because they only had like 10 minutes to do so because it was the first half of the episode. So, approximately 10 minutes, very vague, very high level overview, very boring to watch. I hate to say it, but very boring to watch. The second half was slightly more interesting, but as I mentioned in the summary, like it was just a setup so that we would be kind of not in the dark about what happened in between Elle dying and part two picking up. So, I mean, there was a couple of call out things, like the fact that Light, as he's on the computer kind of trying to recover the system that Elle used, he notes how, it's no fun without Elle because, that was his competition. Now everything seems too easy. He even like looks over at Elle's chair and sees kind of like an illusion of him, which was super sweet. We got a dramatic writing montage. And that is honestly where the points for this episode came from. An amazing dramatic writing montage. The full arm to the side, the full bodies dropping like flies, the full pictures disappearing off of a screen one by one. All of the people, again, that we kind of semi-recognize, like Weddy, Aber, the Yotsuba group, all drop in like flies in this dramatic writing montage. I love the dramatic writing montage. I love the music in the background with the vocalizations. And even on like the rooftop, we have Light kind of, you know, looking out into the distance and Ryuk saying, well, now that Elle's dead, there's nothing that's fun. Like, I'm not going to expect any fun for a while. And Light's like, what are you talking about, Ryuk? Now we get to make the new world. And that's when we get our dramatic writing montage. So, like, I mean, it didn't have an absence of good scenes. It's just, again, like, it was kind of boring to watch, and it really felt like they were setting things up. So you didn't, like, you got the writing montage, that was amusing, but that took up quite a bit of the second part of the episode, and, like, not much other than that happened. And then, of course, we get teased at the end, a little bit of, like, a random building, clearly from another country, England specifically. And we have the old guy who's not really that we don't really know about, behind a desk holding a phone that has like Ella's dead across it in like a text message, and then two orphans that we only see from the back being told that Ella's dead. So, I mean, that's a teaser because they are going to become more significant in part two. So that was nice. But again, we don't know who they are at this point. Like, if it's your first watch through, you don't know who they are at this point. Even like Light's accomplishment, like joining the national police force or whatever, is like literally just sidelined on screen. Like it's a caption. You don't even get to see anything about it. He's walking down a hall and then caption, at this time he went into the police force. Great. They briefly have a meeting with Misa at a cafe. That's how we find out they're moving in together. At the task force, they nominate him to be the next L because L said he had the potential to succeed him. So again, like, we're setting up, but nothing important happened really. And again, it was very boring to watch. Like, this episode, I could have taken a nap instead. I just didn't find it that great, except for the dramatic writing montage. That was amazing. So 2 points for that. And that makes this a 2-pointer episode. And so the definitive personal rankings, now that we have rewatched all of the part 1 episodes, in first we had Silence, second Revival, third Rebirth, fourth Encounter, fifth Frenzy, sixth was Glare, seventh Execution, eighth Confessions, ninth Doubt, 10th Pursuit, 11th was Ally, 12th was Decision, 13th Confrontation, 14th Tactics, 15th Guidance, 16th Dealings, then 17th Makeshift, 18th Friend, 19th Love, 20th Overcast, 21st Wager, 22nd Performance, 23rd Unraveling, 24th Renewal, which was this episode, and then 25th was Assault, and 26th was Matsuda. So that now brings us to our final segment and our series ranking so far. And as we have finished part 1, we now have its final score. So part 1 got 184 out of 260 on our mostly objective ranking, which gave it a percentage score of 70.77%. Then on the personal side, part 1 received 157 out of 260. And that came to 60.38%, which is a lot lower than I expected, to be honest, but there was 26 episodes and not all of them were winners. So with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Death Note Part 1, Episode 26, Renewal. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode, which is the first of Part 2.